Okay, so we're now going to talk about the difference between. So there's a famous quote that's usually attributed to Edmund Burke saying, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing," versus the thing that everyone says. My mum always said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And we're looking at that through the lens of shit that comes out in karate forums and fucking on the internet. So should we be saying nothing or should we be challenging?
Good one. Good one. I generally sit on the fence a lot of the time, so I do tend to keep quiet because I'm quite a nice guy, believe it or not. Yeah, so with fear of upsetting people, I tend to keep quiet a lot, and it's probably the wrong thing to do unless something is real bullshit and it needs calling out, So, and I suppose, I guess we'd all have our level of bullshit that we were going to call out on. I guess is where we draw our lines, So,
but I think one of the things that we've all probably moaned about and seen is when it's dangerous bullshit.
Yeah.
So let's go back to what was it? The videos that came out recently. Were they Daily Mail videos of self-protection with some nosy bin who was frankly just teaching stuff that's dangerous?
Yeah.
Well, that should probably be called, even though no one listens.
The thing is, that does tend to get called within martial arts circles because it's an easy target, because we're not targeting other martial artists as such. So you do see a lot of that go on. Those sort of things do get called. There are two different things going on. There is bullshit martial arts, and that very much is in the eye of the beholder and subjective to what you're doing, and what you call bullshit behavior. People who are not behaving the way that they should do in a civilized society and taking advantage of their position. And there's a culture that I think is problematic in karate that allows that to happen a lot more than it should, because of the respect culture, and you can't say anything culture, and you can't question anything culture. People can basically do what they like, and nobody can say anything because it would be disrespectful. And it comes back to what you were saying with the quote originally. I have seen it where this sort of stuff has been going on, and people, quite sensible people, you would think, come in and say, but yes, we're karateka, we should be better than that, so we'll rise above it and just not talk about it. We don't want to descend to that level. So what happens is fuck all happens. We're just, well, we're too good and we're too polite and too respectful to say anything about that. We should just rise above it and be better. So nothing changes. That behavior continues and they get away with it time and again.
So, I mean, I don't know whether we want to go down actual examples. The Kokushinka guys calling out a very famous karate instructor. So the Kokushinka guys calling out Jesse recently about his interpretation of history, which and that's the thing, they were trying to open a dialogue as far as I could see, because they were saying, we're happy to talk to you and talk about the history of Kokushin, because they obviously done more research on it than him, but obviously that's not going to get taken up. But they stepped out and they called on the bullshit, and their video was actually quite interesting. I learned some stuff about Kokushin I never knew, which was a good one. Interesting. I mean, I suppose the trouble is, looking at the karate world, how often do you call out the bullshit? I mean, it's happening all the time. It could be quite tiring.
Yeah, but like I say, this is where you need to demark the difference between the physical stuff and again, it's the mantra, isn't it, in the practical world, saying, oh, well, that's shit, it would never work on the street, it's not realistic. But that doesn't matter if people know what they're doing and they're doing what they want to be doing. That's none of our business, in my opinion. Again, I'm imposing my opinion on what everybody else says, but that's my opinion, is that if people are happy doing what they're doing and they know what it is, that's none of my business.
Well, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, get on with it.
Yeah, it's the behaviour, as you say, it's dangerous stuff that you see being propagated and marketed to people as being for a purpose, but it's not fit for purpose. Then I think that needs calling. and people who take advantage of their position to abuse others, be it physically, mentally, or financially. I think that needs calling as well. But there is a culture that prevents that from happening. And if you start to talk down those lines, then all the nice people with the bunny ears, and just in case we put it on audio, all the nice people crawl out of the work and tell you should be better than that and not talk about it. And that's fucking mental as far as I'm concerned. That is an abuser's paradise, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, and with social media as it is now as well, if you try, a lot of the time you try and question something, you get labelled as a hater, or or you just get kicked off of whatever forum, be it Facebook, I don't know, whatever the social media is, and they just kick you off, and so you keep that core of followers who seem to believe that nothing you do is wrong or can't question you, as you were saying, because if you do, you're just gone, and that way there's no dissenting voices, there's no sort of questioning, therefore you can carry on doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Which is, like I say, people have always followed, and it makes no difference on social media, and social media just makes it more visible for us, but people have always done that. When it was one guy with a dozen followers who were basically disciples and worship whatever he did, or some guy on Facebook with 50,000 followers, all who do the same thing, that's just scale. The behaviors are the same. But if you're on the outside of it, then you either don't see it, which what I don't do now, because I've removed myself from all these forums anyway, because I got fed up with it. But it's the people on our side of it who see this happening, who then seem to think that we still shouldn't talk about it, and that worries me. You know, this is, I seem to be going very deep into a subject that's past that subject, but it's what's known in the parlance as enabling.
Yeah.
They've adopted a culture, they've adopted an attitude that enables other people to carry on this behavior. And if we don't call it, that is where we are sitting. We sit there being enablers of these people. And I think we ought to call out people on that as well. It's not just the behavior of somebody who's doing bad things or exploiting people on whatever level. It's the people then who have the attitude of, yes, but we shouldn't say anything. Well, you're as bad as they are then.
Which goes back to the original quote from the start of this section of podcasty video thing, whatever.
Yeah, it's good that we got our finger on the pulse of that.
It is.